So here's the deal. I was sitting in my living room scrolling through YouTube, contemplating my lack of life choices from, you know, sitting in the living room scrolling through YouTube, when I thought about what I should have been doing instead. You know, what would be a good use of my time as a recent college graduate? Job hunting. You know what would be an even better use of my time? Making crafts out of embroidery thread. So guess which one I did? I started the process marking off 1/4-inch marks on this piece of cardboard. I think it was like the backing for a sticker sheet or something like that, but I did all the lines and I moved on to cutting the cardboard. Now, as you don't get to see here, I cut out the entire process of making the cuts in the cardboard because, you know, I'm bad at filming and you can't see jack squat in the footage. So no, I'm not shoving the embroidery thread into the cardboard. There's slits there. I just happened to do that part of the project by myself and I didn't want to share with the class. Now, I've done a project like this before. I one time cut off the flap of a cardboard box and then I, you know, cut the slits in it and then I strung on some yarn and did that. So I've made like a coaster kind of a thing with this process before, but I haven't done this big of a piece of cardboard. Basically, I've done this before, but on a smaller scale and with yarn. It was easier and a lot faster to do. So then we skip forward in the stringing process and I get to the first of many knots in this project. But this is the first of many difficult ones where you basically kind of, there's a special knot you use to add on length to your thread, where basically you kind of make 2 knots and then you kind of like combine them together. And then it makes the string longer because you added the string. Anyway, but yeah, I know how to use this knot because I've used it before in different projects because I knitted a blanket and I used it for that. But yeah, I've done this knot many times before, but it's been a while, so you see me very slowly piece together what I think is going on, and then finally finishing it and moving on. But yeah, throughout the project it gets faster and faster, and I get a lot better at it. By the end of this video, I am very good at tying knots. Now, at first in the weaving process, you see me just weaving with my hands, which works, I guess, but I was getting pretty impatient by the end of me choosing to just weave with my hands. You'll notice I decide to finally go grab my big sewing needle. I'm pretty sure it's actually technically an embroidery needle, so that's what I'm gonna call it, but yeah, it made the process way easier and way faster. Don't weave with your hands if you can help it. I'm sure it makes your hands muscular, but I'm lazy. I think one of the reasons why I decided to even land on using embroidery thread to weave a coaster in the first place was because, you know, I mean, like I mentioned, I've done this kind of project before, but also because I needed something to do with my brain besides, you know, nothing. So I felt like it would be a good use of my time to make something silly rather than prove to myself that I'm the fool in the first place. I mean, that is exactly what that is exactly what my brain was going through. I decided to make something so I can no longer tell myself that I was the fool, but in fact it was the project that was the fool, even though I foolishly put it together. That's fine. It's not like I know what I'm doing with my life. I know what I'm doing. I'm here. I'm having a good time. I'm happy. I have friends. No, that's true. That is true. I do have friends. It doesn't mean I'm not dying. But in the meantime, I'm gonna do this crappy craft instead.
My coffee drink is so bad. Oh, it's like chocolate raspberry, like coffee. Oh, I thought I'd be able to get past it, but no, I can't. I'm getting freaking cold. I can't. No, this is awful. No. I've returned. The cold brew is way better. It's way freaking better, dude. Holy crap. Oh man, I hate raspberry so much. It's not that I hate raspberry, it's just chocolate and raspberry. In my coffee? No. I can barely handle them on their own. I don't know, I just hate chocolate and things. It's disgusting. Chocolate in my coffee? I hate mochas. Mochas are... No. Lattes, please. What are you doing? Yeah? Desperate for attention, huh?
And here I encounter my first problem. My own stupidity. Yeah, this is genuinely what happened. From the angle, it looks like I purposely moved my scissors for the bit, but when I tell you that not only is this what happened, but that I also have no wish to inconvenience myself with having to tie more knots than necessary, I'm telling you that I was really just that dumb. From my perspective, I didn't really realize my scissors had picked up the slack of the extra thread. I just thought I was adjusting my hand. That was not the case. I straight up just cut through that entire thing, and I had to do another knot. I was not happy.
Wow. Fluid. One flail swoop. One fail swoop. You'd think I'd know this. I always pronounce it wrong, so I never really know what it actually is. I don't know. One flail swoop. I think it's one flail swoop. Wait, how am I saying it? One flail. I hate everything. Oh my gosh. Why?
In case you haven't figured it out yet, this video is me having one big mental breakdown. Ugh. Now, the next problem I encountered was in the choice of embroidery thread itself. Not the medium of my project, but my color choices. I had a boatload of colors to choose from, and I liked what I ended up with, and I made sure that I had plenty of each color, but there was one in particular that I didn't take as much care with, and that was the golden thread. It wouldn't have been that big of a problem if I hadn't used it as the base for the weaving process, because I only really had one skein left. And I'm gonna just call it a skein because in my professional opinion, that's what it is. Or a hank, apparently. But I only had one skein left, which was a bad idea, but it's what I did. Because I had very carefully chosen the different colors, not only because they matched the color scheme that I wanted, but that I had a few of each color, but I wasted the first two schemes on the base, and I strung the base, and then I didn't think through the fact that I needed it for the weaving. I needed it for the rest of the project, and I didn't think that through, and had I thought it through, I wouldn't have had the problem. This meant that I wasn't sure how long I'd actually be able to make whatever I was making. The goal had been to fill up the board as much as I could, but with my quickly dwindling supply of yellow thread, I had to start planning. You'll notice as I get further into the process, I start to make the different color blocks bigger to compensate for the fact that I may be running out of yellow thread, but not any of the others. Now, I'll happily waste them if it means I might be able to barely balance a mug on this thing. I mentioned to my roommate what I was making, and I tried to explain to her that I was making a coaster, but longer. And she said, "So, a placemat." And I said, "No, not a placemat, a long coaster, long enough to fit 2 mugs on it, you know?" And she said, "So a table runner." And I said, "No, it's smaller than a table runner and a placemat. It's thin. It'll only fit 2 mugs. It's a long coaster. It's a loaster." And she said, "So a small table runner." And I said,
But yeah, that's what I was thinking when I decided to go for a weaving project. I really enjoy weaving, even though I've only done it once or twice before. But yeah, I thought it would be really fun.
It was! Get ready.
I think one of the other reasons I chose to do this project was because it's pretty calming. It's a very serene craft, and it takes a really long time to make. I think I have about 7 hours of footage. It's too long, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. It's fun to make things with your hands and then get to display them around your room or around your living room or just in plain sight and know that you're the one who made it. That's kind of fun.
So I finally finished up the weaving process a little early, in my opinion. I could have been a bit wider, but oh well. Yeah, it's my fault that I didn't choose to use a different color. But then I got onto what I felt would be the simplest part of the project, tying a boatload of knots. I mean, I'd done so many for changing thread, I'd gotten really good at those ones, but no. Oh, no. I was so wrong, so incredibly wrong. The first side of the rug coaster loaster was fine, but because of the amount of slack I had, look at those strands. They're super long strands, but I
made a mistake at the beginning of this project, which was beginning the weaving process so close to the top of the board, like the nutcase I am. Now, what I failed to realize was that for this entire project, I'd been in the first stage of grief. Denial. Grieving what? I mean, grieving the fact that, first of all, I would have to even suffer through the process of tying these knots in the first place, but second, that I would lose a little bit of my sanity in the process. It's one of those moments when you don't really know what you're grieving because you didn't know the loss in the first place. Personally, I didn't realize that I had more sanity to lose until I got to this point. But here I am. Now that. Did you see that? Did you see the body language in my hands, which you can barely see? The hesitation, the confusion. Right then is when I realized how screwed I actually was. This is the beginning of the end, the beginning of the funeral for my sanity. I have begun to grieve. I even knew going into this that it would be bad. I remember a few specific instances during the weaving process when I looked at those golden strands and thought, did I give myself enough slack to work with? Nah, it'll be fine. I have long nails.
Did you hear that? Hey, it's time for the next stage of grief. Anger. I edited out so much sighing, it's not even funny. Well, it was actually pretty funny. But not in the moment. You really would think that my long nails would have been helpful, but not many things seem very helpful when you're just going through it, or, not going through it, because the thread wasn't going through the... I will say, I'm pretty proud of myself, though. I didn't swear at all while working on this project. But if I did, it definitely wouldn't be the first time that embroidery thread has made me swear, and something tells me that it won't be the last. I am going through it. I'm going through it. Please. Stage 3. Bargaining. But I figured it out. Never underestimate an angry woman with an embroidery needle. But you see something in my off-camera eyes. Exhaustion. I figured out a way to do this project, but at what cost? I still had more knots to do. Leading to stage 4, depression. And I finished it. Oh, I would sooner watch Death of a Salesman before tying all those knots again. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Next time I do this, I'm giving myself so much slack that I won't even know what to do with it. Pain, pain, pain.